Live in this Boom Shakalaka O'Clock. Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Yeah.
And we have Nia ShinDigg in the house.
No, we have Nia ShinDigg.
ShinDigg. And she came in here all on fire. She ran into a celebrity today.
Yeah, I on the way in, I absolutely ran into a celebrity. I ran into Jan Elliott.
Jane.
Right?
Right?
Because she said like plain Jane.
Right.
That's how I'm supposed to remember it. So I ran into Jane Elliott, and she spoke with Dr. Martin Luther King. She speaks up on the injustices. She is on fire. And she's a white woman.
Oh, right. Oh, she's always been active.
Yeah.
And Agnes, I think we got a problem because my phone is sideways, and I bet you people are telling us that. Is that happening, or is it showing up okay, Agnes? Can you see those comments on this phone? It seems like they're coming up vertical, and it said rotate.
Well, I'm looking at it on my phone too, and it's sideways. It looks
is
like this rather than looking straight up. So you might wanna turn that one to the side.
No, we always go landscape instead.
Oh, okay. So then it should be fine.
So what do you want me to do?
Anything? No, it's, you got it upside. You got it in that particular.
Yeah, that's
thing.
pretty much how it looks.
Okay, sorry, folks. Chaveevah, there's always something good happening on the north
And
end.
everywhere else in the Cedar Valley, y'all.
Today it was Jane Elliott, right?
Yeah, and I asked her, I was like, you know, what made you so inclined to speak up on the injustices that are happening against black people? And she said, well, to be honest with you, I realized I was a racist. And I had to change the way that I was thinking. I had to change my life.
Wow.
Absolutely. And when she did that, I was just like, I've never heard anyone say, because I was a racist. I've never heard anyone admit to that or even understanding the fact that they had to change their life around because they weren't doing right.
That's funny. I actually just recently had someone say that they just, it was like a personal awakening.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, so once you know better, you do better.
You do better.
And that's super.
And that's what she proved.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. I came in here eyes big, smiling, because I was like, I met a legend. And I don't know what it is, but I know that you don't cross paths with somebody for no reason. There's always a reason why you cross paths with somebody. And let me find out.
All right. All right. Well, whenever you come and visit, wherever we see you, Nia, you always bring that light and that energy. We were just talking about you a little earlier, that you're always to me, I feel like you're always so optimistic in your approach to things. And that's refreshing. It's what's needed. And we just love being in your presence whenever you come around. So
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And before we had started, I told y'all, like, I feel like anytime I get invited to be on the Rocki and Chaveevah show, I just feel like I'm somebody.
Oh my.
I feel like only the somebodies get to, the mayor has been here, the police chief has been here, y'all are here. I'm just like, this is the table.
Oh my. Okay.
This is the table right here. So I'm blessed to be here. Thank y'all for having me.
Well, thank you for coming. And to me, it's a blessing getting the opportunity to see each week what kind of awesome people that we have in this community.
Yeah.
Period, And because there's no little stuff. Everything is something big to me if it makes a positive difference in how things are going on. So
can I give a shout out on that note?
Yes.
Because I don't know if you know this, but Purvis, he threw the
we got him in our notes. Oh,
you want me to wait till the notes?
Oh no, that's all right. Anytime is a good time.
So he had the adopted senior, of course, where people in the community adopted seniors and just pretty much gave them some love and light on their day.
Right.
And then he recently threw them a prom over in Cedar Falls at Bienvenue.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Okay. I did see a few clips
beautiful.
of it, and I couldn't think of the name of the venue, but I saw everybody all dressed up.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just awesome that these young people did have that opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's two things I can think of that he made possible. Your actual...
And the parade every year.
Yeah.
And the KBBG parade every year.
Yes.
So if we're talking about people that are doing it big in our community, I got to give it up to Purvis. Because he is making us all look good.
Yes,
in the
he
words
is.
of the two greats. He's making us all look
making
good.
us all look good.
All right.
So shout out to you, Purvis, most definitely.
Purvis all the time. Yes. And like we were saying, all the things that you guys said while we got our technical situation straightened out. It was great to run into Jane Elliott.
Oh my gosh,
Purvis
it was.
is awesome. You rock, and yes, you're really here and special because you're on our show, like the mayor.
Yeah, it's a vibe.
I heard everything you said. Okay, and I'm being reminded to put the mic on.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us. It's going to be a great show, regardless of what's going on.
Always.
Absolutely.
Every the time.
Yes. All right. Okay, so we got this segment called Give It Air. We want to remind everybody that there is still a pandemic out there. We're going to get to our Give It Air segment here in just a minute. We are wearing masks. We have our masks right here, but since we are 6 feet apart, we are feeling very safe.
Yeah.
Even though
Yes.
you are in that generation that are kind of like super spreaders, though.
Or not as concerned. There are some young people that are really on it, and there's some that just sort of like, you know.
No, I'm on it.
Yes.
Okay, that's
I
wonderful-
cannot afford to get sick. I feel like my purpose is I still have a job to do.
There you
so
go.
I'm trying to keep myself in position to fulfill my purpose, and that's it.
Right. So we want to just talk about what's going on with this pandemic. The NBA is in a bubble. They started their first game. Are you up with that? Keeping up with that?
To be honest, I'm not. Unfortunately, I fall short when it comes to paying attention to the sports.
And they had no positive tests so far.
They didn't.
Right.
So,
No
that's
positive
that's great. But
tests.
somebody, I'm sure maybe it's a baseball team, the Mariners, somebody like
Oh, yeah,
some
the
of their X amount of players tested positive and like
Mm.
3 coaches or something. So
Right. So, yeah, we just always have to be mindful.
now, as y'all see, this is kind of a sign of the times, right? Everybody's got them or hates them or feels some kind of way as concerning masks. But for Give It Air, we were just kind of talking about the pandemic of 1918. And the reality is, in real time, we don't really have anything to compare what we're going through now to, for the simple fact that most people were not alive in 1918.
Right.
Okay? So we're going through this kind of as a new experience. It's a new virus. There's no cure as yet. There's no really treatment. And the thing that is available, most available, is this.
Right. Right.
Now-
And Germex and gloves.
Yes.
And wait, just I know the points you're going to get to, but I just wanted to mention too that they just said this morning on the Today Show that children under 5 can carry this virus in their nose longer and more than older children. So just keep that in mind as schools are going to be open.
Right.
But the mask,
Right.
Chaveevah.
The mask, like I said, love it or hate it, there was a time with the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic where this was not something black people could avail themselves of.
Right.
No mask. So basically, the medical personnel had masks and stuff, but the just regular people, especially black people,
We're exposed.
yes, were exposed through lack of being able to access something as simple as a mask. So
Right, exactly. And they were essential workers, to say the least. And they're standing beside the white people that are masked up and thinking they're depriving the African Americans, enslaved people, or at that time it was basically Jim Crow
Yeah.
South and Reconstruction and all that. So it's a privilege and an honor to be able to wear a mask, in a time like this.
We got to be
So-
blessed.
We are blessed, indeed. And count your blessings, wear your mask, and don't spread this awful pandemic. Don't make it any worse.
Absolutely.
yes.
All right, so Nia, we got a lot of questions for you. You're one of our favorite people. We're going to talk to you in depth a little bit more.
Okay.
But first of all, we know we see you. We just want you to know that we see you out there taking charge, and it makes us older people, feel better knowing that, people like you and your generation are taking charge. Just talk to us about this peace walk to start out with that was just this week.
So the Peace Walk was a very beautiful thing. Unfortunately, we had to come together due to the unfortunate passing of Cortez. And I believe it was Corey Muhammad and Joyce Livingston who was like, we have to get together and do something. We have to create change in a positive way. And so they put together a lovely event where We marched from East High to Sullivan. They had some wonderful speakers. They had Christopher Timms, who gave a very, very passionate speech about how he's tired of burying his students.
Yeah.
He's tired of teaching these young boys how to grow up to be men, and then their lives get taken away from them. And it's an emotional thing because, you know, these are our youth. These are pretty much our kids that we spend a lot of time with. And then Reverend Vera, she got up there and spoke, and there were a couple other individuals that spoke, and it was a very beautiful thing. I love seeing my community come together. I just hate that it's always when something unfortunate happens. So we just have to figure out a way to continue to spread that love and light so that these things don't happen as often as they do.
Yeah. I heard on the news this morning that they have a suspect
Yes.
They do.
in custody.
Yep, they actually announced that at the Peace Walk that they do have up to, I believe, 3 suspects in custody, figuring out what's going on.
Good.
So I am blessed that we were able to get some form of justice. I don't want to lose any more of our youngins to these streets.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And we always say that crime has no race. So we don't really like to talk a whole lot about black on black crime as people usually do, because we understand that, you know, black people kill black people, other
White
rich
people kill white
So
people.
black on black crime is a myth.
It's a myth.
It's not real. It's just something that people hyped up and talked about, but people kill people.
It's a
anything.
racist thing to
Right.
say
It
because
is.
that's the only group of people that you actually
You're
label.
focusing on them.
It's a
Right.
deflection from other things that have to do with the inequality that's happening. And so-
Absolutely.
Yeah. But the one thing I did hit home with me, there's a new page called Black in Waterloo.
Oh, I love them.
I love that page.
Yeah, they're
But,
good.
you know,
They get it in over there.
sometimes there are things that are just pertain to black folks and black folks need to hear. There was a young man speaking in the streets of Kansas City, and I just remember one thing resonated with me. He said, is being killed the new way to die? You know, is that
Wow.
what's up now? You know, let's make this right.
Right.
And so whatever, whoever's in charge of that page, thank you for doing it.
Absolutely.
We just really
Gratitude.
appreciate having a place to go to air out some of these
It's a
things.
safe space for black voices, and that's not
Exactly.
common.
Exactly. Newsflash, birthday people, we're going to sing to you. Nia got a solo today, and you know she can sing. She's Rosemary's granddaughter. You know Rosemary can go.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'd rather sing harmony with y'all.
Okay, we'll work something out. We'll work something
She
out.
likes putting people on the spot.
I saw that.
So you'd be like,
Do I need to pull out my little lyrics?
Okay, and today we have a contest. It's something new. We got some great clues for you, and you're going to be able to win one of these prints. I think Agnes has some photos that she's going to show of Chaveevah's beautiful artwork. But the question, while she's getting that ready, is the question is, every week we're going to ask you who makes us Waterloo proud. And this question, Chaveevah, is about a woman, an African-American woman. Go ahead.
yep, she is a graduate of Columbus High School and University of Northern Iowa, and she is currently an administrator at Hoover Middle School.
Administrator, is that something like a vice principal?
It's something like that, yes.
And you can't answer.
I was going to say, I know the answer.
Well, if you know the answer,
I
be the
do.
first person, and you get to win one of these wonderful prints from Chaveevah Banks Ferguson, painted by Her Majesty herself.
Oh,
my
my goodness.
Yes. And
I
in fact,
love your work.
Can
Thank
the people pick out their print, Chaveevah? Do you have?
Well, actually, of what's posted there, there is one thing that is not. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at 2 things that are not an actual print. The one at the bottom right is from my daughter's wedding. I did a series of paintings for her before she got married. And the top right, there's no prints of that. However,
Yeah, but so
maybe we have
remember-
to give you a print, Nia, for keeping the peace and not saying who it is.
Okay.
You know what? I would love that.
Okay.
I was just going to ask, like, how can I get
How
in
can I
on
be
the
down?
paintings?
Yes,
Okay, and
please.
so that question again is, the person is an African-American woman, graduate of Columbus High School and UNI, and is currently an administrator at Hoover Middle School. All right, Nia, what about, first of all, we got to say we had a great show last week. Did you see it with Darren Montgomery?
I missed the show last week. Please don't kick me out.
You're done. It's over.
Sorry.
Okay. We had Dusky Steele from the House of Hope as well. And there, Agnes has some great pictures of us sitting in the garden. And that was a great show. But we want to talk about the census, Nia.
So take time to be counted, because the census looks at numbers, age groups, ethnicities, and etc. So they need to have pretty much an accurate number of who all is in our county.
Yes.
So make sure you check out that website, which is www.census.gov, and make sure that you and your household are counted.
Absolutely.
And it's not too late. When will it be too late?
That's a good
wonder.
question.
October 1st.
All right.
It's magic. Didn't you hear that voice just say
know.
October
Yeah.
1st?
Television magic. Magnus. All right, we love you, Agnes, and thank you so much. And you'll be hearing more about the census every week. All right, our question of the week, Chaveevah, we had last week, and I bet Nia can chime in on this too.
Our question of the week was, what grade were you in when you had your first black male teacher? Okay.
Your husband was my first black male teacher.
I thought that might be so. And so what grade was that?
He had me, I was at Cunningham, and I believe it was the 5th grade.
5th grade. Okay, that sounds...
I feel like it was in the 5th grade, because I had Graves. I feel like I had Mr. Ferguson in the 5th grade.
Was he your first black male teacher?
He was my first black male teacher. My first black female teacher was Miss Hattie Graves at Roosevelt.
Oh, okay.
And I actually just did a photo shoot for her last month, and I was like, this is pretty ironic.
Oh, yeah, that's a full circle moment right
Yeah.
there. Wow.
Right,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
And Chaveevah, all of your teachers were black.
Well,
Yeah.
yes. When all through elementary school up to 7th grade, and then there was like a couple years difference where I lived in Michigan and stuff like that. But then in high school, freshman, sophomore, junior, all my teachers were black. But I didn't have a black male teacher until the 7th grade.
Can I just ask, what was that like to have all black teachers?
It just felt so regular. It didn't feel like any kind of separation, and it doesn't necessarily have to feel like that if you have a teacher that's a different ethnicity, but when everybody in your world looks like you, you just feel regular,
Yeah.
for lack of a better way to put it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was
we
probably
had some
awesome.
viewers that chimed in, and we had Ronell Langley that said preschool. She had a black male teacher. Chris Luck Hansen said Mr. Thomas at West Intermediate. Teresa Culpepper said Mr. Fantroy at McKinstry. These names may sound familiar to you. Stephanie Fobian said Mr. Longus at Logan Middle School. Brent Dennebeer said Mr. Burnett at 6th grade Logan. Chaveevah?
Yep, Shirley Houghton said she had Mr. Cunningham at East High School. Wolfgang Schoenberg didn't have a black male teacher until grad school at the University of
Wow.
Maryland in Baltimore. Deborah Bloomquist, she said that in the military as a PFC.
That's quite a ways away.
Yeah.
That's a while.
And
Yeah.
Shaw Rorta, Susan McMaster, Terry Hummel, and a few other folks mentioned that they never had a black male teacher, so.
Wow.
I never had a black male teacher.
Okay.
I had Mike Allen, who came to Central High School as, I believe, and Bob Thompson. But I think they were just like,
Wow.
what do you call it when they're in school, in college still, not intern.
Like training almost?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had Mr. Allen as well, and so did my mom.
He was like very and then Mr. Cunningham. They were there, but they weren't actually teachers. So I guess that kind of
Administrators,
helps.
right.
Administrators,
Yeah.
right?
And like some people had mentioned having black teachers, and they mentioned females. I used to teach at Wartburg, and for some of those students, I was their first teacher.
You
black
probably
teacher.
were a fun first teacher.
They were. I mean, some people were like, somebody told me that as far as alive, I was the first actually like in contact live. See, you see black people on TV all the time, but I didn't
Especially
think,
in Iowa, yeah.
that just
Can you read our comments?
But hey.
Would you mind getting up and looking at the comments?
I sure
you
will
got
get
them
up
on
and
your
read.
phone, maybe. You
I
probably
can
do.
just pull 'em up on my
just pull
phone.
them up on your phone.
I
And
sure
while
will.
she's doing that, we want to talk about, since we're talking about education and educators, what about the Grout Museum, Chaveevah? They're recording history as it's happening right now. This whole
Yes.
Black Lives Matter movement, even the pandemic, everything that's
Mm-hmm.
happening in our community. they're-
It's a moment in time, definitely, that needs to be recorded, and it's awesome that they are recording it. So that, I mean, that's sort of, you know, time capsules and those sort of things where you can go back and look at what was going on at a specific point in time.
Right, so you
Yeah.
need to go to our wall and look for all the cool stuff, and Grout Museum is on there, and they've got some great stories. Yolando Lovelace, he's on there telling his story, and there are others that are sharing their military stories, as well as just what's happening right now with all this social injustice and the peace marches and everything that's happening that's actually pretty historical. You may not think of it that way, but it is right now.
Absolutely, because it's a peaceful way to make history. So in the comments, it was, for the first video, was my TT Joyce.
Oh, Joyce.
Okay.
Yep, and she was
Joyce.
telling us about the camera. And then we have Miss Lovelace, Shakita
Okay.
Shakita Lovelace, and she said, hello, ladies. And then we have Miss Vita Robinson, and she said, happy Friday, ladies.
Hey, boom shakalaka.
Hey,
yes.
Translation.
Yes.
And any answers for our question? We got to have somebody winning that art print. She's an assistant principal
At Hoover Middle School.
right.
No one has answered the question just yet, but
Well.
if they don't, I will, and I am taking your painting.
Okay. All right. Well, we want to shout out to our new police chief for being such a good sport. Did you happen to see the ice bucket challenge?
I did.
Okay.
Looks like they frozen.
Yeah, and it was so hot outside, I'm sure that ice
was a
melted
perfect
as soon
day.
as it, oof.
It was the perfect day for it.
Yeah.
And Purvis, you already shouted out to Purvis.
I had to. I had to give him a whole lot of love. He did a great job with those seniors. They had a blast.
Right. And our crew, of course,
Always.
Ed, Agnes, and Zion. And his birthday is coming up here. We're going to sing to you, Zion. She's going to do the solo. It's going to be
Zion was so fly for prom.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
Oh, his suit with
He
the
looked
roses.
so good. I said, I need to borrow that blazer, little brother.
Oh, yes,
Whoa.
yes. And the other thing we want to say is thank you to our binge watchers. Our YouTube stuff is just like blowing up. Everybody's been sitting at home during the pandemic watching all the old shows.
Yeah.
But don't just watch the ones that she's on. Just because Nia been on our show a few times, everybody looking up ShinDigg stuff. What about me?
It's all about y'all.
Okay.
It
it's all
is.
about us, right? Okay.
Be sure to follow us on YouTube, WCTV. That's channel 17 or 79-4, depending on how your TV is set up. And that's on Fridays at 4 o'clock, Saturdays at 10 a.m. And, you know, go to North End Update, like our page, let us know you're keeping up with us and stuff like that. If you have show suggestions, please let us know. You know.
At northendupdate@gmail.com. And when you're there, if you got something that we're talking about, don't be cussing. Please don't do name callers, and don't say somebody else's comment is stupid, because it's not.
No, don't
Right?
do that.
Yeah, that's not nice.
And this is from Miss Loving Light
That's not
herself. Okay, Nia, we're going to talk about you in just one more second.
You know
but we
what?
gotta-
Take all the time you need.
We got a lot to ask about you, because this child got an old soul, Chaveevah.
I
When I
know.
met the baby, I thought, who are you? Right, because she's just she seems to be so knowledgeable about so much.
Yep, observant of the world. I checked that out about you. I guess in 5th grade, you always seem to be just like noticing
it out.
things and people.
My
and
people would call that being nosy. but,
Okay, you
know.
was hanging around the Grove folks.
Yeah,
that's
we
what
like
it
to call
was.
that being observant now. I was
There
a
you
little
go.
nosy
So,
before.
the thing I want to really ask you, since you all of that and a bag of chips, we want to know the real deal. Do you subscribe to the
Bam!
Soul
The
Town?
Soul Town.
I do. I subscribe to the digital version.
Oh,
But I need to get the real one so that I can get it sent to my house.
Yeah, it's nice to have
My
it.
poor
in.
little copy, it just barely made it to me the other day, and it's a little worse for wear, but the content is definitely, as always, on point. This is the Black Lives Matter edition, and the focus is really on, you know, how can you support the movement? There are people that, and for folks who are triggered by that statement, Black Lives Matter, hopefully reading through this will give you all the information that you need to know. It is a movement. I don't know what you've heard or how it's been portrayed in the media and stuff like that. It's, if all lives matter, then Black lives must matter as well, right? That's
Right.
all we're saying, so, yeah.
Right.
And all lives won't matter until Black lives
Until
do.
Black Lives Matter, thank you.
Yeah.
Right. And one thing I like to say to people that like to counter with the all lives matter is, if you look at it this way, did all lives matter during slavery?
Boom.
Did all lives matter during Jim Crow?
Boom.
Right. So those are some things you want to consider, and that's why we insist that Black Lives Matter now, because
No one
it doesn't
said
seem-
only Black
only,
Lives
no,
Matter.
No, not that.
So if that's your personal trigger, that's something for you to work out. No one is saying that.
That's right.
know.
Okay, so get your copy at thesoultown.com.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and now, Nia, tell us, how does it feel to be the person that shares so much love and light? And what I really want to know, I'm going to ask the first question, because I want to know, how do you find it within yourself to be so confident in who you are and exactly put it out there for other people to join in with you? You're contagious. Where do you get? Where does that come from?
I guess what I would say is the energy of that just comes from my purpose, because a lot of times I do speak love and light, but there are a lot of times where I'm very sensitive and I don't feel love and light. And I know that there are, there are many people in the world who go through dark times and they don't necessarily feel like their purpose is important. And I've been there plenty of times. Still to this day, I find myself doubting, like, okay, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I doing it the right way? But then when I understand the impact that my voice and my message has, I understand that it's a lot bigger than me. It's a lot bigger than the emotions that I'm feeling. It's a lot bigger than, even if I get frustrated, my purpose is bigger than that. So I just have to kind of push through all of the flesh, I'll say.
Right.
I have to push through the flesh and then continue on and carry out the purpose that I was given. So I just feel like that's more important than anything else.
It's really a blessing to discover or tap into what your purpose is at a younger age and pursue it. And having a Nia myself,
Right.
I know that's a very deliberate type of thing for someone to give you a name that means
That means
something.
purpose.
And talk
Yeah.
about that. The name Nia means purpose in Swahili, right?
Yeah,
and
my
that's-
name means purpose in Swahili, and my mom always instilled that in me, that no matter what, you are purpose. Regardless of how you feel or what you're going through, you are purpose.
Yeah.
You have to carry yourself as such. So I really got in tune with it when I had my show on KBBG called Wake Up with Purpose, where I was making sure that all of the listeners were waking up feeling their best selves. They knew that
Chaveevah
they
talked
could do
about
it.
that show all the time. I'm like, I ain't got time to listen. I'm busy doing this and that. She said, girl, listen, Nia's talking good
It was
today."
on fire. I'm telling
Yes.
you, it was a good moment. It was a good moment in Waterloo history. It was nice.
So tell us, what have you been doing here lately? I saw you do a 5-hour interview with the police chief. I'm like, we ain't gonna talk that long when we get it, but yeah.
Yeah,
What-
it was a pretty long interview,
Very
but
good.
I felt like it had to happen just because when he came down to the park and people were asking him questions, I don't think we were giving him the opportunity to fully answer them or, give us a full gist of it. So I got his phone number that night and I was like, I want to set up a time to actually meet with you. And I created a forum on Facebook and I had the community write down questions and I asked him every question on that list.
That was really cool too, the way
Yeah.
you had that set up so that
Yes.
that it really left it wide open
Yeah.
for him to be able to respond to the questions that people had.
Yeah, and people can play it back, rewatch it, but at least give yourself the opportunity to get to know this man. And if
Yes.
he's good, he's good. And if he isn't, then let us find that out over time. But at least give him the opportunity to make change.
Can
So
we ask you to share that on our wall again so we
Yeah.
can kind of recirculate that for those that may not have seen it before? Because it is an extensive interview about
It was
everything
pretty good.
that so many people wanted to know.
yeah, it was pretty good.
And so what have you been doing lately? What keeps you busy? I know you're not at KBBG anymore, or are
No,
you?
ma'am. Nope. Unfortunately, I'm not there anymore. However, I am focusing currently on my brand, which is Be Light, which you
Oh.
can see on my shirt. And
Be
so,
light.
yeah.
That's what
Oh,
it
the
means.
bee.
Oh,
yeah, it
I
means be
like
light.
that.
So it's a reminder to everyone to be their best selves, to shine a light on people, to spark something that reminds them why they're important. And that's pretty much my overall mission in life. When I mentor, I like to remind my youth why they're important. When I speak to adults, I like to pull stuff out of them that makes them smile and makes them feel important. So overall, my overall mission is just to be a light. So that's what I've been focusing on, making my merch, going to events, speaking to youth, going around the community, and just doing my part.
Awesome.
So how's that been going? What's it been like connecting with the youth? I mean, because you're young, so that such being the case, a lot of times I would think that it would be a lot easier for a younger person to connect with you and see themselves. I mean, you know, if somebody looks at me and, you know, oh, I might see myself in 50 years or whatever, but I'm talking about in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years or whatever.
For me, I feel like it's easier to connect with the youth, and it's easy for them to connect with me because I try to communicate to them on a level to where they understand, and I just come to them raw. Like there was an incident where a friend of mine had went into a grocery store and was being harassed by young men, and the other day I seen him, and I was like, hey, you know, I think you might have hurt my friend's feelings. He was like, what do you mean? And I was like, you know, you was kind of doing a little something you weren't supposed to be doing at the store. I think you might owe her an apology. And we video chatted her, and they gave her the formal apology that I felt like she deserved.
Wow.
And that was me playing my part as an up-and-coming leader in the community to hold these young people accountable. You are growing into be a king, and that's how you should carry yourself.
We have
Nothing other
got
than that.
to do that, yes.
All
And
right,
we
I love it. I love it.
commend you on
Yes.
that. And Nia, how old are you?
Cheers.
Can you tell us that really? Because my peer is Rosemary, and she's your grandmother.
Yes.
Now, albeit they might have started a little young, but I mean, you're just a
I
baby.
am
You're
27. I turned 27
Just,
this year in June.
yeah, and talk about your mother, because I know she's another beautiful spirit.
Yeah.
And that's a generation that accidentally got skipped. I didn't get to meet her. I just know
Yeah.
Rosemary, and then now you. Talk about your mom, because she
My
must be an
mom-
amazing person.
Oh man, she is a light. My mom, she made me feel very important. You know, she helped me to understand who I was, and she provided me with a lot of discipline that I was going to need if I wanted to be an accountable young woman.
Okay.
So my mom, to me, she's the one.
All right, and her name is Ebony.
Her name is Ebony, but she goes by Sherelle, Relly Rel.
Hello, Mom. You've
Yeah.
done a wonderful job.
Yes,
Dad,
indeed.
parents, grandfolks,
Oh, yeah.
all the wives.
Village.
The
Miss
village,
Shirley,
yes.
Grandma
Yes.
Shirley, yes,
Yeah.
the village.
The village
And,
did a
of
whole
course,
lot of raising me, and I appreciate y'all.
I know Joyce
seriously.
Ann made you some food every once in a while, too.
My
I'm
big
sure.
baby did a great
Okay.
job. That's what I call her. I call her my big baby.
baby.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We
She
love
did a
her.
great job raising me as well. The entire village took care of me.
We love it.
You know, so it was a blessing.
We were talking about focus earlier. I can't help but focus on the floor over there.
So since I've been,
Right
I
before our
love to
birthday
give y'all
song.
gifts.
Oh!
I don't know who wants what, but they're both orange because y'all are a team. So I got the black, the white. Who wants
Oh,
what?
thank you.
Yes.
All
You
right.
must be related to Les Wild and them.
Oh
He
yeah.
gave us a shirt too. Isn't this beautiful? Thank you.
Beautiful. Yes,
Nia.
thank you.
Thank you so
Absolutely,
much. And it's
absolutely.
like this.
It's just like this.
Awesome.
I had to make sure that I came on here and spread some light y'all way as well. So
Oh,
right.
can't
whenever y'all are
wait
out and
to
about, throw
wear
that
it.
on.
Be
They'll
like,
let
oh,
you in
for
free
sure.
if you got that on.
Okay.
Okay.
What's that? What'd you say?
I said they'll let
we
you
get
in
in
free,
free
Oh,
if
okay.
you wear that.
Hey.
Wherever we go, we getting in free. Y'all heard that, right?
Yes,
So let us
you
in.
heard it here first.
Okay, our time is winding up, I'm sure. But we got to sing happy birthday. You got our verses ready?
You know I have the chorus.
You do? Oh, we always sing the chorus. We was going to try to get the verses, but we'll have to.
I don't know the melody of
we
the
gotta
verse.
brush up sometime.
Does anybody have our answer? Is there anybody that's watching that can tell us?
Let me go to the comments quick.
Okay.
And if
And-
they don't, I promise you, I got the answer.
Okay. You don't know who we talking about.
I used to work with her.
Oh,
Ah.
yes. We'll see. Hopefully somebody gave
Nope.
us the answer. Nobody's giving it?
Nope.
Okay. Well, next week you better be ready. You can Google this easy enough. And our answer is
Miss Cassandra Hart.
yes.
Yeah.
Nia is the winner.
Yeah, she gave me a hug every time I walked into Hoover. I mentor the girls there.
Our first
All right.
lady, Cassandra Hart. And she's so much more than just the mayor's wife, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. So
She's-
every week we are going to be asking you who makes us Waterloo proud.
Right. And this week it's Cassandra Hart. Thank you, Cassandra. We love you.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. Okay, so we're going to sing happy birthday to DeShonda Elliott, Amy Cass, Menzel Hughes, Sonny Keegan, say his name.
Kareeb.
Kareeb Bergen, Nia, the middle
That's
row.
one of my extra sons.
Oh, he is.
Yes.
I remember
I love his name.
Amy Cass, yes. Happy birthday.
And then we have Mr. David A. Givens III, Shantae Grundy,
Hey, Tay.
Charles Wright, Mr. Zion, of course,
Oh,
Shasay
Zion.
Carroll.
Hey.
Okay,
All right.
and we've got Darlene Shaver Sproles, Cabrina Rucker, Luella Rodemeyer, Tony Anderson Ford, and
Tony.
Prytier, also
Rua.
known as Rua.
All right. You know Rua?
Happy birthday.
I don't, but I was like, that's a beautiful name, too.
Isn't that nice? Yeah, he's a nice guy. Okay, so we're going to sing the Stevie Wonder version. We're going to sing it with a whole lot of love and
Absolutely.
a whole lot of light. And
Yes,
it goes
yes, yes.
something like this. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya.
Hey.
Happy birthday, happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Hey, oh shoot. I think our time is up. See, next week we're going to have a verse individually. And there.
I
That's
won't
how
be here
that's-
next week.
I know. Okay, so go on with your solo.
Huh?
Look, don't dare her.
I'm nervous.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's been a great show. Another
Sure
great show.
has.
Thank y'all for having me. I love being here.
Thank you, and you're so easy to talk to, and you always have something positive and wonderful, and you are always the light. And
Thank you.
We appreciate that so much.
Yes. Thanks for coming back to hang out with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Right.
Call
And
me
we-
back when you want me to come, but not to do a solo.
Oh, okay. Not to do a solo.
Uh-uh.
You should have seen her when she walked in, though, after meeting Jane Elliott. She was like, up
Fired
here. We were like,
up,
settle
yeah.
down.
Eyes were this big
I know.
entire time.
We got to get her. Does she live in Waterloo?
She lives in she's somewhere in
she's
Iowa.
from
We're going to
Iowa,
find
yeah.
You
you,
should go to her
Miss Jane
website.
Elliott. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. And we want to encourage our viewers to keep doing more like Nia, spreading love and light
Please
right.
do.
of what makes you awesome, because
Because it makes us
all
all look
good. See you next time.
Bye-bye.